Do you guys think that I was going to go more than a couple months without buying another 32? You were wrong. Everyone, welcome back to Forest Firearms. This is Thomas, and today we're going to take a look at a Spanish-made Ruby. Now, this is a very, very hard gun to identify, and as a matter of fact, this is the first shots that I've fired to this gun that you just saw there, but has no markings identifying where it was made. It says made in Spain. That is probably a stamp that was added after, possibly an import mark. This may have been sold to the US or England as I guess you would just call it an import, but it does have plenty of markings indicating that it's Spanish. The bowl is a Spanish proof marking. The made in Spain, again, pretty clearly denotes where it was made. If you guys happen to have any knowledge of these that I don't have, here's the serial number. Because like I say, I'm having a very hard time identifying this. This is a kind of strange one in that it has no sights whatsoever, just this notch in the top. And as such, it's not an easy gun to aim at all. But these were kind of meant as like a last resort type of gun. In World War I, these were mostly made for the French. And I'm getting attacked by a bug here, guys. It's kind of annoying. But anyway, these were mostly made for the French. They were made from about 1914 to about 1958 or 59. Whether 58 or 59 is when they stopped making them is kind of a point of contention. It depends on the brand that you're looking at. And with the brands in mind, over 50 brands made these. They are made as a copy of John Moses Browning's Model 1903 that was produced by FN. But let's just go ahead and take a look at the inner workings of this thing a little bit. Now again, there's a lot of variation in these. The most immediate variations that you'll normally see are the length of the grip and handle of the gun. Like this one is a very short one that's only 7 shot total. I just had 3 loaded, but also sometimes the barrel will be a little longer, and usually there's sights, and the sights come in various different forms and configurations, because like I say, there was over 50 companies making these, and I believe I already mentioned, I don't recall, but over 750,000 of these were made. And judging by the serial number and just a couple of other things that I found on forums, this is pre-World War II for sure. I cannot definitively say whether or not it is World War I, but most of them that were made in World War I, as I've said, made for the French. And let's just go ahead and take a look at the disassembly real quick. It's fairly easy. You just lock it, and then the barrel is a little funny. You pull out, so go back in. It's a little finicky. So you just turn, pull, turn again. Then release, and the top comes off. And also you can see this is not hammerless. It does actually have a hammer. So it's completely internal, but hammer is there to put it back together. Just take this little guy, take the fatter plunger on the end, put it in here, line up on your rails, lock it. Like I say, the barrel is a little finicky. It doesn't flawlessly line up. Like if you go all the way to the back, it won't turn into place, but just like that. And just before the video, we noticed actually there was a bit of feeding problems because these were turned in a little bit. So if it jams, that may have something to do with it. I may have to do a little bit of work on the mag. But let's go ahead and take another 3 shots through this little thing. See if we can hit it from a little farther away. Like I say, there's no sights on the gun, so it is pretty difficult to acquire a target. And it is a heel release like most European guns of the era. Hit 1. Like I say, not an extremely accurate gun, largely because of the total lack of sights, but it's usable, it works, and also these are very affordable. I'm gonna check real quick and make sure I'm empty. So these guns, so many of them were made and by so many brands, and they're so hard to track. You can find one of these for $200 to $300 fairly easily. So if you guys are interested in getting a vintage 32, you can pick one of these up pretty cheap, and they're around. But I myself am, as you've probably noticed, quite a fan of collectible 32s and vintage 32s. I've got 5 of them now, and this is definitely one that I wanted in my collection. As I'd said, in World War I, this was one of the most plentiful guns that was used by the French. You'd see things like the MLE Model 1892 that I had, and those were around, but those were more of an officer's pistol. Something little and cheap like this is more what you might find a soldier carrying. But it is something that you would not want to try taking pot shots with. The ones with the sights would be maybe a little better for that, but still, it's a 32. You're not going to drop a 200-pound raging German with a 32 at 50 yards. You may as well stick with your 8mm at that point. But it's an interesting little pistol. It's a fun thing. And this is, again, a gun that I picked up from our friends at the War Front. If you haven't heard of them yet, you ought to check them out. You can find them online just at the stroke of a key. And they always have a lot of really interesting guns, and I know some of you guys have actually purchased items from them since hearing about them on the channel, and extending a thank you from Lawrence for you guys. So let's go ahead and take a couple more shots. I've got a few more bullets left. As usual for my old 32s, I like PPU 32 auto. Just good, clean ammo. Always goes boom in my experience. I've not really had problems with it, whereas I have had some issues with some other ammo. Okay, so we got 5 shots left. Let's go ahead and move kind of into the range that this thing is effective, of which is fairly close. All right. Even up close, not especially easy. I was firing kind of on the quicker side, but if you were actually in a gunfight with something like this, you're probably not going to use it an awful lot closer than this, where if you miss, you suck. But again, it's an interesting little pistol, interesting design. It's, like I say, it's a pretty much a direct copy of the FN Model 1903. And I'll probably, as such, do a comparison between this and the FN Model 1910 that I've got, because where this is a widely copied gun, the 1903 was kind of the predecessor to the FN 1910. So this would almost be like its cousin in a way, I guess you could say. Not its direct descendant, as this is the Spanish variation of the gun, but the Czechs made these. There were some French companies that made these, but most of them were made in Spain, over 750,000 in Spain alone. So they are very plentiful, and like I said, not a particularly expensive gun, but an interesting little piece of history that you can get your hands on without too much hassle. So before I wrap up here, just wanted to mention again, I've mentioned this before, but if any of you guys happen to be musically inclined, guitar enthusiasts especially, I've got my own YouTube channel, Pedalmonger, where I cover a lot of guitar-related stuff, effect pedals, original music, covers, other people's music. And if you guys want to check that out, Pedalmonger, I'll probably be dropping a comment in the comments section. But for sake of this video, I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time on Forest Firearms.